Beloved Madridistas, Happy New Year. Welcome back to the channel. What a way to start the year. This was an absolutely classic Real Madrid performance. There is no club in the world capable of doing this, at least not with the insulting frequency that Real Madrid manages to do this. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, you are playing away from home in Valencia. Now, Valencia is not very good this year, but Mestalla is a very, very tricky stadium, incredibly loud. You're playing away from home. You're losing 1-0. You've missed a bunch of chances. You missed a penalty. And in the 78th minute, your best player gets a red card, and you have to play the last 12 minutes with 10 men, and you're losing 1-0 away from home. Any other team in the world would wilt, and I'm not saying would give up, but they would be dejected, their shoulders would lower, their heads would lower. But there is something so unique about Real Madrid. This is the only club in the world that just is never phased, that always believes until the end. This was an incredible performance. What Real Madrid did last night is very rare, very hard to see in the world of football, but it absolutely defines who we are. This was just incredible. The belief and the faith and the mental strength that Real Madrid has is something that is unique in the world of sports, and it's so cool to be a part of it and to be able to watch it week in, week out. Okay, welcome back. Lots to discuss. I hope you guys had an amazing New Year and winter break, but let me give you my thoughts on this match and this unbelievable club. Let's get started. Beloved Madridistas, welcome back. Welcome back to Madrid on a really foggy day. Now, oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you guys a favor because you guys are all over the world. I'd love to know sort of where you are and if it's foggy where you are, because there are these weird reports of crazy chemical fog all over the world. So when I woke up and saw the fog in Madrid, I kind of freaked out. But I'd be curious to know if you guys are seeing kind of crazy fog where you are. So if you have a couple of seconds, let me know. I'd be curious about that. Okay, let's talk about this match last night. You know, these are the matches that create the legend that is Real Madrid. You know, this is the spirit that creates the legend that is Real Madrid. And it's so unique. And it's just so amazing to watch over and over. Okay, let's talk about the lineup first. This was kind of a funky, I think it was a 4-2-1-3. So you had the back line with Lucas Vázquez on the right, Mendy on the left. He chose Tchouaméni as center back over Asensio again as center back with Rudiger. Courtois, of course, in goal. Then he had Ceballos and Fede, you know, sort of both of them in front of the defense. And then Jude a bit further up in the middle. And then, of course, he had the three strikers up front with Rodrigo, Vini, and Kylian. Now, you know, I'm always a bit wary when we play with three forwards because I think it leaves us a bit exposed when we lose the ball. But you know, I don't think it was too bad yesterday. The first half was very kind of back and forth. I think Valencia took the initiative and created the better chances. This is a team that isn't doing very well this year, but I think played with a lot of personality yesterday to a home crowd that is very, very passionate. It was sort of back and forth. We were trying to settle into possession, but I think we're kind of struggling to do it comfortably. Every time Valencia stole the ball and countered, they look dangerous. They created 3 or 4 pretty good chances in the first 30 minutes that Courtois saved. I thought Courtois had a very, very good match last night. I think he had some really, really good saves. But, you know, Valencia, like I said, was playing with a lot of personality, a lot of heart, and a lot of energy. Lucas Vázquez and Rodrigo, I think, were creating most of the play for us on the right-hand side. But despite it, we weren't really able to create many clear chances. Fede had a couple of shots from distance that went high. Vini had one clear chance at the end of the first half. Now, the Valencia goal came in the 26th minute, and you know, this was just, I think, poor defensive coordination in general because that goal was just too easy. It was an incredible save by Courtois, who deflected the ball, and the ball sort of trickled back to the center of goal. We cannot blame Courtois for this. There's no way you can blame him. You know, goalkeepers are always told to deflect the ball sideways, right? To push the ball to the sides. That's the cardinal rule in goalkeeping. Never push the ball to the middle when you're deflecting it. But we can't blame Courtois here because, you know, a very strong strike came in. He managed to stop it with the left, but the ball just sort of trickled to the middle. Nothing we could do about that. Now, after the goal, of course, Real Madrid pushed up, you know, with a bit more fervor, trying to push forward. We did have a lot more possession after that. But like I say, unable to create, you know, particularly clear chances. The best chance was Vini in the 43rd minute in a sort of quasi, almost one-on-one. A good diagonal shot, but I think he could have done a bit more with that. In the second half, I think we played a little bit better. We were more comfortable in possession. The penalty came in the 52nd minute. Okay, now this was a very good run by Kylian, who used his speed and power to get behind the defender and to generate that contact from behind that caused the penalty. And then, of course, Jude missed. And we got to talk about this penalty because, yeah, I got to be honest. Jude, who I love, and we're going to talk about him in a minute, I absolutely love this player, but I just don't like the way he takes penalties. His penalties tend to be very soft, low and soft. And this little stutter step, I absolutely, you know, I can't stand this. A lot of players do this. Neymar used to do it. Bruno Fernandes at Man United, you know, comes to mind. This little sort of stutter step, I don't like it. I think that it signals a lack of security, a lack of conviction. I think it just looks to me, it just feels to me like insecurity, like you're not sure about what you're going to do. And inevitably, the shots that come out of that sort of stuff tend to be weak and low and just not very good. So we are struggling with penalties this year. And, you know, Kylian missed a couple. But honestly, Vini should have done a lot more with. Jude should have done a lot better with this. The penalties I like to see are, you know, do you remember how Zidane used to kick these, or Beckham, or Cristiano, especially Cristiano? He would hit these penalties so hard, even if the goalkeeper knew where the ball was going, you can't stop it because you don't even have time to see it. It's just, you know, I think you have to hit penalties with conviction and with power and be convicted in your approach. So I was very disappointed with that. Now, we continued to attack, obviously, as the minutes went by. Rodrigo had a header in the 66th minute that went over the bar. And then we started to make the first changes in the 67th minute, and that's when Camavinga and Brahim came in for Rodrigo and Mendy. I think Camavinga brought a lot of really good energy to our play. He makes a difference every time he comes on. And then, of course, the key play of the match was in the 78th minute. Vini gets a red card, and we have to be honest about this. Yes, he was provoked, and yes, you know, when they played it, they did the replay. They sort of, I don't know if they do this intentionally, but they didn't show the goalkeeper's initial provocation of Vini. But in any case, Vini shouldn't have reacted that way. Vini needs to control his temper. He needs to stop being so emotional and impetuous. It's obvious that other players are going to try to provoke you, but you have to be above it. And Vini, at this stature, the player that he is today, you're the best player in the world. You cannot waste time and energy on this nonsense. So I was disappointed that Vini, despite being told by the club on a number of occasions to keep this stuff under control, he just can't help it. I mean, he just has a really hard time controlling his temper and his reactions, and I think it's really disappointing. So the red card may have been a bit harsh. I mean, I have a hard time, you know, I'm not sure that would have been a red in England, for example, or Germany or something. But nonetheless, it is Vini's fault, and it's something that he shouldn't have done. So from the 78th minute, we're playing with 10 men. In the 80th minute, Luka Modric came in, and you guys know my view on this, those that have followed me. This is exactly how you use Luka Modric, right? There's 10 minutes left, everyone's tired, and Luka comes in fresh with all of his technique and his experience, and he can make a difference. And I thought his contribution was insanely good last night. It really was a standout performance in the few minutes that Luka played. In the 85th minute, he scored with a very intelligent, composed little toe poke just in time before the goalkeeper came out to block. So, you know, very intelligent goal by Luka. And then in the last few minutes, we're just playing with a lot of heart, okay? And when, especially when you're playing with 10 men, like technique and tactics are out the window. You just have to play with heart and balls and courage and energy and belief and faith. And that is what we did in the final minutes of the game. And then that last goal by Jude, again, this was because Brahim pressed the ball and stole it from a center back. That error was provoked by Brahim's press. And that press came from the attitude that I'm talking about, okay? This never give up attitude, this fight for every inch attitude, and this believe and play until the end. And that is what provoked that loose ball. And of course, Jude finished it with unbelievable elegance and class. What a player Jude is, just phenomenal. Okay. Individually, I think Courtois had a very, very good game. 3 or 4 very good saves, especially in the first 30 minutes. I thought he was very good. I don't think there's anything he could have done in the goal. He had looked a bit tentative in the 2 previous matches. Some of the aerial balls, he looked a bit shy. But I think last night he was assertive, aggressive. He timed his runs very well, his exits very well. He was well positioned. I thought Courtois had a good game. Lucas Vázquez, I thought, was good in attack and combined very well with Rodrigo on the right wing, but he was very poor in defensive duties, okay? The Valencia forwards managed to get behind him over and over again. He lost so many one-on-one battles. It exposes the weakness that we have in the right back position, which is something we need to do something about, urgently. So Lucas Vázquez, I think, had a poor defensive match, but was quite active going forward. Rudiger, solid, worked hard as always. Probably nothing too noteworthy to mention. He was just sort of, solid and kind of, he's a very consistent player. Not too flashy, but always consistent. Mendy, I thought, was so-so. He was sort of the opposite of Lucas Vázquez. Mendy was, defensively quite solid, but did very little going forward. He was actually quite clumsy when he would join the other players in attack. I felt his decision-making was kind of slow and a bit clumsy. So I wasn't too surprised to see him substituted. Tchouaméni, I thought, just makes really silly mistakes. I mean, I'm getting very, a little bit worried about Tchouaméni's consistency. There were a lot of stray passes. His decision-making, he took a couple of shots from distance that were just really stupid decisions. I mean, he doesn't have the power that Fede has. I just think Tchouaméni shooting from distance doesn't make that much sense. And both shots that he took from distance I thought were just not a good idea in the flow of play. And he also lost a few balls. So Tchouaméni, I don't think, played particularly well. Ceballos, I think, had a decent match. Maybe not as good as the 2 or 3 previous matches, but I thought he was okay. Fede, as always, we say the same thing every time. He's so consistent. He's just, the understated consistency of this player is incredible. He doesn't do anything flashy, but he's absolutely everywhere, and he just defends well, contributes to attack well, has an incredible right foot. Fede is just a blessing, one of the most consistent midfielders in the world. I think we need to rest him, and I really hope that in the next few matches we can find time to let Fede rest, because he's had quite a year. He's playing virtually every single minute. Okay, Jude was fantastic. This is a player that is so unique. He was, some of the passes admittedly were poor. I mean, not every pass worked, but he was absolutely everywhere on the pitch. And he has such a great way of reading the tempo of the match. Okay, when we are in possession and the ball gets to Jude, he has a very instinctive way of knowing when to hold the ball, how long to wait, and when to release the ball. He understands the flow of play really, really well. And because he's so technical and he's so strong, he's able to protect the ball really well. So in those situations where you need to buy time to wait for the right run, he's able to do that and to see those runs really well. Just an incredible player, a clutch player. How many goals has he scored in the last minute since he's arrived in Madrid? I mean, the guy's been here 5 minutes and he's scored so many last-minute goals. This is an extraordinary player. He's become a leader in this squad, and deservedly so. I thought Jude was phenomenal. Okay, Rodrigo was, it was okay. He tried a lot, especially in the first half, but it was one of those games where the last pass wasn't working, the last dribble wasn't working, the last shot wasn't working. So I think he tried, but I think was just unable to really make a difference last night. Vini, I thought, was below his average, which admittedly is a high bar. But I thought Vini, wasn't great last night. He was struggling to get past defenders. And again, his judgment in the play of the red card is just very poor judgment. And you cannot allow your temper to leave your teammates, to betray your teammates like this, because you cannot leave your side with 10 men in a match like this. And Vini needs to work on his self-restraint and his mental strength, and he needs to stop taking the bait. But I thought Vini had a sort of below average match up to that point, and then just very unfortunate behavior at that point. Vini, you got to get this shit together, because it's completely unnecessary, and it distracts us from what we need to be doing. Okay, Kylian, I think he worked really hard, but I mean, I have that emotional conflict with Kylian, because on the one hand, he's getting better, and I love seeing him get better and more confident. And I know that he's working really, really hard, because he is putting a lot of effort into everything. But he did lose a few balls up front that were just, some of those dribbles were unnecessary. There were too many situations where there's just one dribble too many. You tried to do a little bit too much, and you end up losing the ball. So I want him to succeed. I see that he's improving, and I see the skill that he has, and he is working very hard, and I can tell he's so committed to this. But he's just a little bit imprecise up front, and I think he needs to calm down and just make better decisions up front, because he lost a couple of balls that were just, unforgivable, I think. In terms of the substitutes, look, I think Brahim was fantastic. He stole the ball in the goal for Jude. And he's just always has that ability to dribble and create play. Luka Modric, I thought, was excellent. I think when you use Luka like this, you really get the best out of him. I thought Luka was great. Camavinga, very good. I mean, he always kind of ups the tempo in terms of energy. He's a player that just defends very, very well. Also, you can press Camavinga. He doesn't get rattled. He knows how to protect the ball. It's very hard to get the ball off him. So I think Camavinga played very, very well as well. So look, but to wrap this up, I think this is what makes Real Madrid Real Madrid. I mean, this was so unlikely. This was so improbable. But the attitude of the players is so amazing. They believe until the end, and this really is the mindset of this club. It is so unique. There was an interview. If you guys remember the 2-5 at Anfield against Liverpool, we were losing 2-0 at Anfield, and I remember an interview with Steve McManaman. I think it was on CBS or something, and he was talking about it, and he was saying, as he was commenting on the match, he says, when Real Madrid went down 2-0 at Anfield, he says, we looked at all the faces of the Real Madrid players, and none of them looked phased. None of them looked rattled. None of them looked depressed. None of them looked concerned. They didn't look particularly stressed. And he said that was just so unique. But it says everything about this club. This is not a club that wilts. This is not a club that this is a club that believes till the end. And it's just amazing to watch week in, week out. So anyway, what a great start to the year, considering all the crap that's happened to us this year with the injuries and Kylian's adaptation and changing positions all the time. Like, despite everything, we are top of La Liga and we're still competing in the Champions League. So I honestly think that we are in a remarkably good position, all things considered, but very encouraging. All right, those are my thoughts on the match. Thank you guys for being with me. As always, love you guys. Hope you had a great year, and I wish all of you the best for 2025. Okay? As always, Ala Madrid. Love you guys.